afternoon. My name is Alan Sykes, and I have today with me Bonnie Bond, who is a shareholder in Sykes and Company, PA. And we have with us today Reagan Brown from Mississippi, from City Drug, and Ashley Seaforth from New Mexico. And they are both current RxSafe compliance system users, and we thought it would be beneficial today in the course of our conversation. And let me bring up my slides real quick here if I could. Let me know you can see my screen.
We can. Make it bigger though.
All right, let's start the slide shows. Pardon me just a second here. Okay, you can see this, correct?
Yes.
There's a way to show
I
the
hit that
screen
first
completely.
from the beginning. Yeah, that might do.
There we go. All right, so we've got the slides here, and as you can see with Bonnie and I with Sykes and Company PA. We are a firm that works with hundreds of pharmacies all over the country exclusively. We're some 46 people working virtually currently, obviously in this COVID environment, and we're just tickled to death again to have Ashley as well as Reagan with us today and go through this discussion. And we'd love your Q&A as we go through this process. And don't hesitate to plug in those Q&As, and I'll be monitoring that as we talk. And we're going to try to do this in a conversational fashion. We may have somebody from RxSafe show up in just a few minutes. If we do, then we'll certainly let them participate in this process. Again, we've got Ashley, Reagan, and Bill Holmes may show up from RxSafe in just a second. So Ashley and Reagan both, just to begin with here, I know we were just talking just a few minutes ago about your guys' experience in when you place your systems in place, how you decided to do that, and just maybe some general comments that you have here before we kind of walk through these slides would be appreciative. Ashley?
Sure, thank you. Well, I got my RxSafe at the beginning of last year. I purchased it at the only meeting we were able to go to last year in February. I had been looking at it already. I mean, rumors of Amazon coming into the spectrum of pharmacy and staying competitive with them. PillPack was already taking patients from me. So I knew that we had to make sure and keep up on our game. And so I had been investigating the Rapid Pack system already. So I purchased it in February, got it shipped to me pretty promptly, and we started packing patients in about the beginning of April. But that was really the driving force of me really looking into it, is just making sure that we stay competitive in our market.
Absolutely. Reagan?
Okay. We've had ours, I guess, probably a little over a year. We were a convert from another packaging system. And so that was kind of some of the issues that we had with that is kind of the driving factor on us changing over to the system that we have. And we can touch base on some of those reasons why a little bit later on. But it's allowed us to, like Ashley said, to stay competitive with PillPack. And fortunately, we had not lost a lot to PillPack, but we had lost some. But it's allowing us to offer another service that helps keep us competitive. So.
And so when Amazon announced their system, I guess it was about a little bit over a year ago now, which made us all kind of focus on pill packaging, I guess more so than ever before. What impact, if any, did that have on y'all's decision to kind of move forward in this direction?
As far as us, PillPack didn't actually force us to do anything that we weren't already doing. So, because like I said, we had a competitor's unit prior to that, so it didn't really have an impact on our decision to go with the RxSafe product.
Okay.
Yeah, and as for us, we were doing some cold seal. We had a few patients, maybe 20 or so, that utilized it off of our already our sync program, but not a huge deal. I think the biggest thing is when we started getting some of the transfers, it seems like PillPack really targeted my area for some reason. We started really hearing about some of my patients getting calls to transfer their prescriptions, and that really drove me to look at the whole system.
Okay. Well, as you can see from the slide here, obviously Amazon PillPack started back in 17, has grown pretty dramatically, projected to be 1.2 billion for 2020, which was up 89% from the prior year. So clearly, they have had an impact in this country, and with a lot of the pharmacies that we work with that have already made the move to the RxSafe system, as well as other systems that are in the marketplace. I think I've kind of heard that Amazon, as well as the compliance adherence Dir Fees situation, have had about as much to do with anything with people making those decisions. Um, so, any further comments here? Obviously, um, the Pack My Med system they're suggesting is allowing you to grow pretty dramatically as far as what your revenue and leads can be. What kind of experience have you guys had as far as adding patients, lead generation, script increase, patient increase? As folks have heard in your area and regions that you have the system, talk to us about that just a little bit, please.
Well, go ahead, Ashley. That's fine. Go ahead.
Well, it's actually been a huge perk for us. Independents are hard anyways, right? Marketing is always hard. Marketing has to be the most difficult thing I've found with it. But once you can get it started and get the word spread out there, we've had a huge jump in patients coming to us, transferring massive profiles to us from the chains, from our competitors, to have the packaging. The one thing I've learned from it is not to focus on so much of our older population in a sense, because you have to remember that so many of our young people, especially right now, are taking care of their parents. Well, if you start to target them, you can see a bigger increase because they get excited about not having to spend an hour every Sunday trying to figure out how to put meds in a thing for their parents or their grandparents. So that's been a huge plus there. But we've had quite a few patients transfer to us. Like I said, we started ours in April. We started with our sync patients to make sure that it was fairly streamlined, to make sure we had processes down for already refilling those types of prescriptions and managing the prescriptions. And we're at about 145 people on our packer already. The biggest thing I've found is testimonies. People love testimonies. Every time I post a testimonial, when somebody picks up their box from us, we end up with at least 10 new people transfer their scripts to us. So that's been a huge deal for us.
That's fabulous.
And
It's a good
Ashley,
idea.
can I ask, where do you guys see that it's becomes beneficial to move to packaging, as far as how many scripts does that normally count? I mean, if you have 2, is it worth it? 5, is it worth it? Should you wait till you have 10? I mean, how do you make that determination?
We set our limit at 3. They have to have 3 or more.
Okay.
And really that was to pay off the box.
Got it.
So we had to clear cost on the box. Comparatively to like how many bottles you're actually using versus the cost of the box itself. And I guess I should have brought one up with me. But that's where we set our limit, was really we needed 3 or more to have it be efficient and also make sense for people. If they're taking 1 a day, it's not a big deal for 1 bottle, 2 bottles, but 3 bottles was kind of the tipping point on, I want these packed.
Got it.
I mean, those are some good, the exact scenario that you just mentioned. I had a conversation with a lady last night. She was doing the same thing. She was having to pack her mom's meds. She's a, 45-year-old, taking care of her mom's meds and having to having to go through and package those once a week or, once a month or in a planner, and had that exact same conversation. So you're right. I mean, that is a good target area to bring people in. And as far as that, we don't have a minimum, but I mean, I don't have anybody that's just packaging 1 or 2 drugs. I mean, it's,
Right.
they're all more than that. Now, one area that we are doing some with is, you're talking about the younger generation, is kids with ADD medicine too. They got to send them to school. So instead of sending multiple bottles to school and everything, we are doing some packaging where we do have 1 or 2, products in those packages that go to school. So we are doing some with that.
All right, I see we have Bill from RxSafe. He's just joined us. Bill, congratulations for being able to get on. You're muted. We cannot hear
You're
you.
muted, Bill.
Bill, you're muted.
Can you
Cannot hear you,
unmute
Bill.
him?
Let's see.
Hi, I think I'm on
There
now.
he is. There he
You're
is.
on now. We can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Apologize. I've been trying to get in since before we started, but I'm not a GoToMeeting guy. I'm a Zoom guy. So
Not a problem. Not a problem. We've already gotten started. And in fact, I want to continue a couple of questions here. Then Bill, we'll give it over to you, and you can kind of see where we are on the slide deck.
yeah.
I'm just curious though, as you guys have introduced the system into your areas, has it allowed you? I mean, do you deliver out further from your area? Have you been able to really touch patients? Actually, you mentioned that patients are really selling the system themselves with respect to their love for the packaging system itself. Apparently, the system is marketed it itself very successfully for you. Ashley, is that what I understand?
Yeah, it really has. We get more, word of mouth is always the best kind of marketing. It's free, first of all. Um, but yeah, it's great. So we have a lot of people that will see that, or a friend that's using it, and yes, word of mouth has been a huge impact. So we sit, just to expand on people transferring from other areas, yes, we sit in a town that's next to like a bigger city. We're the small town next to the bigger city. And we've actually had quite a few people that will drive from the big town to us just for their package. We deliver a pretty good size range as well, for just basic delivery services. But yes, that has driven quite a bit of that too, where people are coming to our store for now more than just the packager once they get in our store and see what else we offer.
Right.
And are you guys including any OTC products in the packaging itself currently?
We do. I mean, it's
Okay.
just if they want additional products packaged, we do offer that.
Okay. Ashley, how about you?
Yeah, we do. There's a little bit of a struggle there in loading, kind of with some of them almost fake NDCs, and having to generate a prescription. And there's some other ways to get around that. But for the most part, we've just barely started that. I know there's a lot you can do with vitamin packages and all kinds of stuff. And Google's always listening. So I get all kinds of advertisement on that stuff now. But there is a wide range of option to increase profitability there as well.
And I think I heard both of you mention that either one of you are not charging for the service. Is that right?
We are not.
Correct. I don't think you can with PillPack. I just don't think you can.
And Bill, this is the question for you here that's already popped up. What pharmacy management systems does the RxSafe integrate with?
We'll integrate with any pharmacy management system, Olin, and the difference between, let's say, a counting interface that a vial filling robot would use or an RxSafe tower would use, and the interface that would be needed for any strip packager like RxSafe or our competitors, is that we need time of administration data to come across the interface. So most pharmacy management systems have something called long-term care module or similar names like that. It's built into the pharmacy software. So once you have that understanding and you load that information, I think probably Ashley and Reagan can comment on that. They're probably on 2 different systems now, but it comes across the interface, goes into a queue, and then operates normally as long as that information is available.
And Bill, here's another question that's popped up here, and you can hear okay now. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I'm good. We got
Okay,
it figured out.
good. Does the program have the capability of providing analytics to physicians as far as compliance adherence is concerned?
Yeah, that's the beauty of this. Because we have all of the data on what was supposed to be prescribed and filled, when the boxes go out, the presumption is that a patient who, by the way, here is a box with the script, you know, their time and date is on each packet. So when you get to the end of the month and you come back for the next supply from your pharmacist, you know, you've taken all the meds. You're not, it's very unusual for somebody to try to take a pill out and not take it. So the compliance is how many of these boxes can get picked up at the pharmacy.
I think we probably got a little bit more real world experience with that. It happens.
Oh
Okay.
It
man.
happens.
Yeah. Yeah, you better be ready for people bringing you packs back that they didn't take, but their timing is off, so they want them repackaged back in. So we end up running like short supplies sometimes to utilize the prescriptions that they brought back to us. In a sense, it gets interesting sometimes.
Well, that's where the RxSafe Rapid Pack really shines, because we don't load any on-hand inventory in the old cassettes. You can just use this, since they're quarantined, you can just add their medications back in without any problem.
And I know during this COVID environment, we have, just looking at this slide and thinking through something here, I've had a lot of our pharmacists indicate that the immunity booster packets that they put together have been increasingly popular as well as profitable, and very very popular with your patients, like D3 zinc, and I guess there's something else that goes there. I don't work behind the bench, as you can tell. But I mean,
Thank
have you
goodness.
seen those kinds of things as high growth margin supplements be a major impact for you guys, Ashley, perhaps?
Actually, I'm going to let Regan take this one because he was
All right.
talking about it earlier.
Yeah, we started doing it, I guess, maybe about a month and a half ago. We basically had a local physician that would send everybody over to the store with this big long list of stuff that he wanted to give, about 6 things. And so we'd go pull all of it. And some of the items have been short supplies. So we said, well, maybe we can just package this. So we created a pack, sent it over to him, got his blessing on it, and let him see it. And he liked it. Beforehand, he had not been really a proponent of the packaging too much, but we sent the package over to him and he approved it. And so he started sending patients. Well, we took the package over to another clinic, showed them, and they started sending patients. So we probably sold in the last month and a half, probably 250, 300 packs probably. And it's just a 10-day course of 6 over-the-counter items. And it's allowed us to do that too. It saves the customer money because they're not buying 6 bottles of 100 of a count of something they're only going to use for 10 or 14 days. So it saves them money versus, a large purchase. And then, the doctor's happy because he doesn't have to write out all this stuff anymore. He just tells them to go over there and get one of those packs at the drugstore. And so it's been a win-win for everybody. So, I mean, it's
great.
That's a prevailing wind, Olin. We have hundreds of machines installed, and I get these calls all the time. More and more people, and Ashley is right, because the over-the-counter medications don't have NDC numbers, and unfortunately, be careful, because there are some exact matches between an SKU number and an NDC number. We do have a requirement that there's a character that has to be added to the string to make sure it's differentiated. But more and more people are doing 2 things for 2 purposes. Really, compliance is the first purpose, better health care, but also convenience. And this one kind of falls into that category. So from a convenience point of view, instead of taking baggies or vials or bottles in your purse to lunch and taking your supplements, everybody sees that in restaurants all the time. We're packaging them in with the medications, and people just absolutely love it. Pharmacists love it because there's no DIR fees, there's no control over pricing or reimbursement. It's just a standard sale. And in some cases, it's more profitable than the medications that are in the bag with it. So it's a very, it's a very big swing in that direction. The Rapid Pack was designed to be an excellent device to do nutraceutical supplements, vitamins, over-the-counter packaging, any oral solid. You can put gummy bears in there, even dog treats. We've got a veterinary application in there. They're packaging up medications in every other pouch they put in a dog treat. And it gets the dog to be, happy to take the medications. So there's a lot of creativity going in here, and it allows for a lot of convenience and profitability.
Yep. Well, Bill, I see on your next slide, you've got your Pack My Meds marketing adherence program, and we're going to let you talk about that because that's your deal.
Yeah, well, we're dedicated to the independent pharmacy industry and independent owners. That's 95 or more % of our business. I've spent my life studying it, talking to it. I met actually at the PDS show she was talking about. Unfortunately, that was the last show we had the whole year. It was kind of a bummer. Hopefully, we'll get back, earlier mid this year and back into the normal. But we don't look at this as a machinery manufacturing company. We are the only vertically integrated company in the United States that builds strip packaging equipment. All of our competitors import machines from South Korea or Japan, and we're very proud to be here and do that. But we're interested in the industry beyond just selling equipment. We are the long-term marketing partner of our customers. And we look at it like this: if we just drop off a machine and expect a pharmacy owner to be a great marketer, a great business promoter, we could end up with machinery that's greatly underutilized. And so we're in this to help every one of our customers excel and grow their business. And so we created this thing called the Pack My Meds program and the Pack My Meds network. And what it is, it's actually the brand on the box. Now, of course, people can brand the box with their own name if they choose, but Pack My Meds allows us to put a 50-mile circle around your store and take all the zip codes into our social media software and monitor activity like searches for pill pack or MedMinder, adherence problems, things like that. And when we see that, we then place a Google ad or a Facebook ad or a Twitter ad or whatever might be, which we pay for here at RxSafe, in front of that customer. And when they see it, there's a form they can fill out. Did you know that, Ashley's Pharmacy is 2 miles away and you can get the service for free? Would you like to know more? Fill out the form. And then we email those forms to each independent owner, very often more than one per day. And the conversion rate's quite high. If you call right away and reach out to people and counsel them, you can get about 50% of them to actually bring their business to your store in order to have that convenience. There's hundreds and hundreds of stores like that. And so the Pack My Meds network allows for us to grow our customer, our pharmacy owner's business by helping them be a great marketing entity. Behind me, you can see all kinds of ads and posters and RxSafe robots and things like that. We do videos, we do bag stuffers, we do mailing, postcards, door hangers, lots of stuff to help promote the use and the growth of that system in their business. And the slide shows there are 6 different elements to that campaign. I won't read them all to you, but the point is we're here for your long-term marketing partnership to help you grow the business. And I'm not going to be happy till every single pharmacy that has a Rapid Pack has it completely utilized 8 hours a day, every day, all month long.
And just curious, what would be the capacity of that system as far as number of boxes that could be produced, let's say with 7 or 8 pills in each pack?
Yeah, it varies a little based on the number of prescriptions per month per box and the pharmacy workflow and so forth. But we have many sites that are doing 50 of these patient boxes per shift with a single Rapid Pack. So if you could do 50 a day and have 20 days of production, that's about 1,000 patients that you could have on the program with just a single shift in one machine. We've got people right now in the 600s. Ben McNabb in Eastland, Texas comes to mind. There are a lot of long-term care closed-door pharmacies using our system. We have a nutraceutical company that we just displaced a competitor a few months ago in Dallas that's got 4 Rapid Packs side by side producing an enormous quantity of the boxes. It's purely just their supplements, but same process. So it's not a limiting factor in growing your business.
And I just would remind everyone to please, any questions that you have, the Q&A time is certainly upon us here. And please don't hesitate to ask anything about processes, experiences, the marketing, the system itself. We're here to help you understand about this system, its impact into independent retail pharmacy. And that's our intent today. So, Bill, is there anything further you want to follow up with here while we wait for the queue here on the questions?
Yeah, we've all come through a very tough year. My hat's off to all of our pharmacy owners that have figured out how to endure and provide services and excel at what they're doing. We're all in this game to, at the end of the day, help people have healthier lives, better healthcare through being more adherent and being able to practice at the top of our licenses, because we're not so busy shuffling pills around, counting by fives, and looking for lost bottles. Anything we can do to improve the industry, it's quite been my life's mission. I've been doing this now over 30 years, starting at the early days at Pixis and then on to Omnicell, and we did the first after-hours prescription pickup kiosk 15 years ago, longer. And so we really want to see the industry excel and not just survive, but sort of thrive, as they say at NCPA. And for that to happen, independent pharmacy owners have to be recreating and remaking their business model in face of all these challenges. We just were very, very pleased. I sponsored a webinar with NCPA recently, and we raised $130,000 for the NCPA Legal Defense Fund in support of the Supreme Court decision to overturn the overturning of the Arkansas law that kind of controlled the out-of-control PBMs. And what it resulted in is an affirmation of the law in Arkansas that prevented pharmacies from being forced to fill prescriptions below their cost, and then to force transparency so you could see how companies were treating large entities like Caremark and CVS versus the independent mom and pop. And that decision came months before we thought it would, and it was a unanimous 8-0 decision in favor of the Arkansas law. And so, we're working on all fronts. We're now looking at 18 other states that are trying to pass similar legislation, and we'll be reaching out to the community with that information. NCPA has done a great job. They're doing all the heavy lifting, and they're managing the fund and the fundraising and all the legal expenses. But we put a good chunk of money into that campaign, and then we challenged people. We had a webinar with I think about 800 people live and a lot more that watched it recorded. We were saying, call in on a credit card and pledge some money in support of this activity. And then myself and several other corporate players that we brought in matched that money, and it exceeded $130,000. So we're here for you. We want this industry to thrive. We want the independent pharmacy community to be the go-to place for this kind of healthcare. And in order for that to happen, we have to all work smarter and be smarter and have some legislative help and support, and not be crushed by these giant monoliths that are really treating people in an unfair way. So, Olin, you're doing great work and getting the word out, and we love our industry. We love our customers. Thank you, Reagan and Ashley. You've been great. We're here for you, and I'll turn it back over to Olin.
Yeah, we got a number of questions that are coming in now, but one of the reasons we like this is that we've noticed in our business dealing with numbers that for those entities that have average star ratings of 5 versus that have average star ratings of 3.5 or 4, that there's substantial differences in Dir Fees.
Sure.
And obviously, the more compliant and more adherence processes that you have for your patients, then typically you can get closer to that 5 star rating across the board through the equip system. And we've noticed that this system is obviously having an impact with respect to that.
Yes, it is.
And on that same note, we see pharmacies in the 3 to 5% range typically as an average, but we've got some pharmacies with 5 star ratings that are under 2%, and that's of total accrued revenue. So in my mind, that has a big impact as well. Let me
Yeah.
get to the questions though. Greg wants to know, if you have multiple stores, can you just purchase a machine and utilize it from one location for more than one store?
I don't know if Ashley and Reagan, if you guys have input, please jump in, but yes.
I know in our state that there's been some recent push to try to get that approved, but right now it is not approved.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, Ashley, go ahead.
I'm in New Mexico, and that is approved. There are a few things that you have to do in order to get that accomplished through like your state board. But yes, that's actually, so I own 2 stores. We're about 10, 15 miles apart, the 2 stores, and we're actually going to be central filling our packer for patients in both of our stores. So we're actually getting those logistics laid out right now. Our computer software is the biggest holdback on that. So once they get in the game a little bit better, which they're working on right now, we'll be able to do that. But yes, that is definitely the plan.
Yes, it's actually quite common, Olin, for that to happen. We have dozens of sites like that, some with as many as 5. I'll just call it a hub and spoke model, with as many as 5 peripheral. In fact, one was 7, where there's a central fill with, one in one pharmacy, the centrally most located pharmacy has the machine, and then they just do a drive route across the other stores and distribute the boxes, or in many cases they can mail them. Ben McNabb in Eastland, Texas, actually has a giant service radius because he actually is mailing the boxes to people who need them.
Another question says, Reagan or Ashley, do you have one technician dedicated to the system, or do you cross-train the staff on it?
We cross-train. I've got 1 or 2 that have a little more experience with it and have taken to it a little bit more, so they kind of are the go-to person. But yeah, eventually we cross-train all of our technicians on it because you never know who's going to be out when.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We do the same thing. Our technicians, every one of them know how to run the packer and what's involved and how to do the refill system, and because there's daily processes that have to be done. And so if one goes out on vacation, you don't want those patients to not have meds. So yes, we definitely have every one of our techs on board.
Yeah, it's actually quite simple, the training process, and the beauty of the Rapid Pack is that there's no exceptions tray like all of the other packaging equipment have for pills that might not be fit or work in a cassette on any given day. And so you end up with the other machinery having to do some cassette refilling and cassette maintenance, and then there's this tray that looks just like a blister card. You got to go get the bottles and put a pill at a time in each pull. Very time consuming and can create a lot of errors, but it's also confusing from an operator's point of view of which pill goes in which hole and how you do it. So in our case, it's always just the same thing. You count the necessary medication, put it in a cartridge. Cartridges are universal. There's no calibration ever required. Completely simple. Load it in the machine and it just runs. And we have a video library for refresher training for operators who might need to check something out on how to load the paper or miscellaneous things like that.
I have an amateur question, but just out of curiosity. So I'm assuming that the RxSafe will work for people who have different prescriptions that they take maybe in the morning, and there's different pills in the evening. Is it able to do that as far as the packaging?
Yeah, we actually have a couple of patients that have Parkinson's, and we actually pack their meds up to 8 times a day for them.
Wow.
So yes, it is very efficient when it comes to that. I mean, it's nice for family members too, because
Yeah, I see the times. Yeah, nice.
we have a couple that comes in and their dad hasn't quite taken what they were supposed to, or packs have been, manipulated, and they can figure out that dad's not moving that day because he didn't take his meds. So it's really nice for family too to track that.
Got
Yeah.
it. Good.
We actually have a couple of blind patients that we use it on too, but it's probably a little crude. But once we pack the medication, we actually have multiple doses per day, and so they specify which ones they want stapled. So actually, once we complete the pack, we actually go in and put a staple on certain packs so that they're able to actually feel, which one may be the morning pack or
Right.
which one may be the evening pack. And so it's helped them rather than having 8 bottles that they have to try to go through.
Oh
They
yeah.
actually use the packages and then they fill whichever one is stapled. So
Well, Bill, that'd be a great one for you. Figure out how to put Braille on these packages.
Yeah.
We're actually working on it. It's a similar idea. It's sort of a post process, but you can create Braille labels on a special printer and then stick them on the front or the back of the pouch. And so we're aware of the problem and we're actually working on it. The staple's a great idea, by the way.
mhm.
Now that I understand Mississippi Braille, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. That's the
That's a
easiest
great
way to
idea.
do it.
It really is. All right, got another question from Richard. Can you charge extra for this service on Medicare Part D as in dog? And if so, what is the normal charge, return on investment?
I'm
that
not
I
aware
know
if we
of.
don't.
No, you don't get anything but your dispensing fee, whatever your contracts have. There's no extra fee to code into there. I know that in New Mexico, our Medicaid system is actually adopted some rules to allow pharmacists to get administration fee on different things, and delivery service and medication adherence packaging is one of those. So we may
Wow.
be able to bill maybe our Medicaid plans a little bit differently for our package or adherence packaging, but I don't know anything in Medicare.
Yeah, the benefit, and we kind of counsel pharmacy owners to consider not trying to charge or expect those kinds of fees in moving into the process, and discourages, as Ashley said, you don't want to charge for something that PillPack's going to do for free. That just doesn't help you grow your market. Market growth is the number one thing you want to do. You want to foothold and establish that you have a large customer base in order to have that that growth in your business. But the fact is that this box with 90 pouches in it is a total cost of material and labor to seal, print, and put the roll together, including the box, pharmacist labor to check, and the technician labor is $4.54. It's cheaper than any other way to package medications. As Ashley said, once you get north of 3 vials, this is actually cost you less than the pharmacy to process. And because people are on an adherence program, they're far more likely to get all 12 refills than if they're on vials. NCPA says national average for vial refilling is 7.5 cycles instead of 12. And in a box situation like this, it's closer to 11.5 to 12. So you get more revenue, more profit, and you get better patient care and better patient health.
And as far as return on investment, I'll say this, and I'm not sure whether, Bill, you've ever looked at it like this. But again, going back to those DR fees, if I'm at a star rating of 4 average, and with this system I can move closer to a 5 or at 5, my DR fees are going to decrease dramatically,
Correct.
probably 6 figures in some larger pharmacies or
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be measuring return on investment, I'm going to be looking that as one way to do it, more so than I probably would trying to charge a fee and be competitive against PillPack, which you're not going to be able to. But that's the way I look at return on investment, because outside of how well you buy and what your gross labor is as a percentage of revenue, DR fees are your number 3 most important issue on a P&L today. And if you miss those 3 items right there, that's 85 to 90% of what's going to control your bottom line. If you don't believe that, just try it. You can spend a lot of time on everything else and you're not going to move the needle. But if you can control what your gross margins are net of rebates and maximize those out,
Yep.
and this is not the place for this discussion here today, but I can tell you there are buying groups in this country that are dramatically doing a far better job than others. I'll mention no names on this call. And if your wages are in excess of 10% of gross accrued revenue dramatically, and I'm not talking about benefits, payroll taxes, 401k, et cetera, I'm talking about gross W-2 wages. They should be 10% or under for total gross accrued wages. And your DR fees need to be under 2%. It's all a matter of percentages in pharmacy in this game. If you don't know where you are fundamentally, and if you cannot measure those numbers, you don't have a clue what you're doing. You're just back behind the counter providing a service to your patients. So I'll get off on that kick.
Can I say
But
something real quick,
yeah, go
Olin?
ahead, Ashley.
Olin can attest to this too, because he took over my books for me. But my two stores, the differences in my DIR fees between my two stores, with the exception of some script count there, but the DIR fees that I have my packer in right now are substantially lower than my DIR fees in my store that does not have it. And that is one of the big reasons we're going to be looking at central filling and pushing those over to that store as well and trying to encompass that. So I have seen firsthand that that is very true, that it really can reduce it. Now, I still have a lot of room to grow, but that just kind of sweetens the deal a little bit more in a sense to help with that.
Does your lower margin store, as far as your store that has your higher DIR fees, do you have a sync program with that store as well, or is it just with the store that you're doing the packaging?
We do. We have a little bit, I have some pushback from a couple of my technicians in that store to really keep our sync program functioning like it should be. The store with the packer has always done kind of a better job of that, and we have a lot more people on sync in that store. Also a lot lower script count. Well, not a ton lower script count, but yes, a lower script count in my packer store. But that'll be a good thing, right? Because we've already kind of made sure that this process works. We know that it's going to help lower the DIR fees. So if we can push that over to the store, we'll be able to see how dramatically we can lower our DIR fees come, a year's time frame.
Olin, to tag on to what you said, you're absolutely correct about the importance of DIR fees and how easily you can improve the bottom line by reducing DIR fees. And we've got hundreds of Rapid Pack RXs out in independent pharmacies now, and every single place we've put one, the DIR fees have come down because the star ratings have gone up. There's no way you don't increase your star ratings by having an adherence packaging program like this.
And Bill, I work with a lot of startups, and so pharmacies also that are growing or in that that stage of growth. Where do you see the sweet spot? So when do you make that transition over to use? How can you determine a good time to start packaging?
A great question, Bonnie, and this will surprise some people. It's a little different than when you try to decide when is it time to buy a vial filling robot, if that is the kind of automation you think might help you, because you then have to get to a certain size, certain number of scripts a day, profitability, and the rest of it. Very different for this particular question, because as you start a new pharmacy or take one over and you're trying to get through growth, you may not have very much script volume when you get started. The question is, how do you grow the business? How do you become a more important, more profitable, higher volume business? And there is no better way to increase your market penetration and your customer loyalty than to have this packaging capability. To have this box as your lead into the market and our Pack My Meds program to help you, you're going to bring more new patients on faster than you could any other way.
Right.
So I'd say right out of the blocks.
Okay, Suzanne has a question. It says, Ashley, did you move all your patients to Pack My Meds, or you do traditional filling as well?
Not everybody wants this. So we do traditional as well. Like I said, I've only had my packer running since April, and we've grown pretty fast. My whole intention was to be competitive with not only PillPack, but also our competitor in town. That's a big chain store, grocery store. So they steal a lot from us, and we try to steal them back with this. And it's worked. It's definitely worked. But yeah, no, you pretty much have to do both. I don't think you can put everybody on it. Not everybody wants it. We have started some of our people. We started out, like I said, doing our people already on sync because they were the easiest, and then we started marketing more and gaining other people. But we have had a few that they are those patients that you just try so hard to get them compliant, and they just don't do it. And they finally go, you know what, I can't do this, and you take them off, and that's reality. You're not going
And
to win
Ashley, why
everything.
is it that someone would not want to have their meds packed?
Because they
I'm just
wanted to,
curious.
they don't want to lose control.
Okay.
Just to
It
be
seems,
honest with you.
seems so nice to me.
Gee.
Again, I have a husband that takes 5 or 6, 7 different things a day, different meds in the morning, different at night, and we don't have anyone local that does this. So I do have a 2-week day and night. So I only have to do it every 2 weeks, but I'm the one, because I'm in control, sits down and puts all that stuff in there. I mean, I would do anything to have, I would drive an hour to go have this product so I
And
wouldn't
she's
have to do
serious
it.
too. She
And
would
I'm
drive an hour
serious.
to get that
I
done.
mean, it just seems so convenient. And you don't have to worry about, taking the wrong thing. And I think it's great. I can't see why someone wouldn't want the service.
Some
So
people are very picky about how they take their medicine, and even though we'll tell them, we can pack it as many times a day as you take it. You take one every 30 minutes, we'll pack it every 30 minutes for you.
Yeah.
Biggest thing is getting a really good intake form, so that you go through and you try to do it based on the doctor's prescription, but really based on patient. Are they taking it right at bedtime? Are they actually taking their levothyroxine first thing in the morning, or are they popping it with all their other morning ones? And so you can really pack it based on that. But there are some people that it just doesn't work out in their routine quite so much. They like the feel of the bottles. They want to flip things over. They want to, they have this whole system that they had worked out for years, and they don't really like to skew from that. We don't have a lot of people quit, but we have had a couple of people, a couple of
Now, I
people
think what
quit.
you said earlier, I have not thought about before, but you just automatically seem to think that this would be targeted at older patients to make things easier for them. But the point you made earlier about it being that you're trying to target the younger generation, or those that are caregivers, makes a lot of sense, because and I would think that age group likes the convenience even more. But I think that's a great age group to target, because they're used to things being, you know, easier and more at their fingertips, and automated. So that's a really good point you made earlier.
Actually, one of our rapid pack pharmacies had that same discussion with me a while back, and I said, why don't you try a couple things? Offer to pack their supplements in along with their medications, and give them to them for free for a couple months if they'll use the system and give it a chance. The other guy said, well, I'm just going to absorb the copays. I'm going to say, if you take this box instead of the vials the normal way, I'm going to absorb the copays. And then he actually had that in the
I would caution against that, though.
I think he's got an issue there,
Disclaimer.
but be careful with
Disclaimer.
that one. Let me keep going. And Steve, we appreciate all these questions you sent in. Steve wants to know about the accuracy of the machine, and how does the pharmacist check for the accuracy of the box?
guys.
We've had great results as far as the accuracy. Like I said, I think we're a little bit different because we converted over from a different system, and Ashley just bought it outright. So we've got a little perspective on both machines, but accuracy has been a lot better with this machine than our previous machine. So, and then I guess, Bill, if you want to go through the process of how it's checked, but you actually have a visual check on it as well. So.
Yeah, it's been very nice. And I will tell you, of all the, we integrate with so many systems at this point through pharmacy, and people really have no clue. I will tell you, the best, hands down, the best. If something happens, if you call RxSafe because you have an issue, their tech support is like spot on, and they call you right back and they get you taken care of. We had a part go off of it, and basically they just got on, turned off our one cell, shipped us the thing, walked us through how to fix it, done. I mean, it was super simple. So they've been hands down the best at that.
Yeah, we actually have, Olin, a really unique and advanced method for, because the system has 3 built-in vision verification capabilities. The first is the behind me here, the icon. So we're using an optical system to count the medication and verify it before it goes into the cartridge, the universal cartridge. Once it's in the universal cartridge, there's a camera for every single dose. So every dose that gets selected and gets ready to be packaged is evaluated by a high definition camera and a vision verification system. So it's pill verification. And that is a profoundly accurate system. It's 6 Sigma accurate. And then in the final system, we're the only system that has a built-in final inspection camera right in the machine. So once it's pouched, then we look at the pouches to make sure the pills ended up in the pouch correctly. And that screen, which is right there, is the 40-inch monitor that the pharmacists have available to look at each pouch. So pharmacy only looks at the images. They don't have to handle the package like a bingo card where you have to look at it, flip it over, and do all that manipulation to see it. And I think Ashley and Reagan can attest to how fast and accurate that is. And what people tell me who use it is it's just amazing, because the human eye is the 4th verification, and the pharmacist is seeing every single dose and every single pouch, which is very different than our competitors. And so having that capability of 3 vision verification camera systems and then the human, man, the error rate is so small, it's incalculable. And I think Reagan mentioned he had another system that he had purchased before. The number of pouches that you have to rework is dramatically lower in our system. And the assurance that you don't have a pouch that goes out to a customer. We've done millions and millions and millions of pouches, obviously, over the years. And to my knowledge, not a single patient has ever brought a pouch back and pointed to a problem.
Okay. We're coming down the last few questions here. So if you have any additional questions, put them in real quick. But Mike wants to know how many patients' orders can be packaged in a day on average, and how many techs are required to operate the machine and process the scripts.
Well, I'll talk about the busiest sites because I know Ashley's relatively new. But again, up to 50 boxes, and there can be up to 20 meds in the formulary, but up to 50 monthly boxes per shift with a technician. Probably 1 or 2 technicians, depends on your workflow and your access to your inventory. But that's about double, I think, Reagan, what might have been able to be done with the earlier technology that you had.
Yeah, I won't say that we ever package that many in a day, but usually we'll only have 1 technician working on it if they're working on it. And our pharmacy is a little more spread out, so it's a little more time consuming for us to have to go get the inventory, and because we only keep the inventory in 1 spot. But packaging time is dramatically less than what it was previously with our other unit, just simply because of the way the canister system works. So.
Yeah. And
Oh yeah,
Right.
cold seal. I think it took each one of my techs at least, 20, 30 minutes to cold seal, dropping each one in. So they were very happy with me when I chose to get this, because we had, 20 patients or so on cold seal. So it was pretty time consuming. Now they pack about 20 a day, and only 1 tech who I have working on it. It takes them about half a day to do that.
Yeah. And Ben McNabb is one of the busier stores. He's pushing 600 patients a month. And so he figures he can do 900 to 1,000 based on the workflow that he's developed. So it's really capable of doing whatever you can do and however you can build the store.
And Ashley, a comment from Steve says, Steve, Ashley, have you thought about creating a closed door pharmacy for your RxSafe packaging, better cost of goods, and minimal to no Dir fees?
No. I have not. We don't have a lot of long-term care in this area, and I don't know how will that go over. So yeah, it definitely hasn't been. I know there are a couple other owners in New Mexico that do operate a closed door pharmacy a ways away from me, but I have not looked at it. Right now, I have enough on my plate. I don't really want to open another store.
I understand. And before we wrap this up here, I just wanted to let everybody know that's on the call about Sykes & Company's RX assessment service that we offer, where this is essentially a third-party overview of your current accounting file and your tax situation, where we give you a detailed analysis of your pharmacy in a video call after we do a deep dive down into your financial information, your tax returns, etc. And we can almost assure you we're going to identify issues and opportunities, concerns, errors, and things that are working well and things that are not working well. And you'll get a completely different view of your pharmacy probably than you ever had before. You basically can walk away with a roadmap of what those issues are and actual items. You can go to our website, sykes-cpa.com, upper left-hand corner, and click on the RX assessment form. We have a video that describes the process and all the processes. And all the issues we've talked about today comes with a normal disclaimer. You need to be talking to your outside professionals, whether it be county, tax, financial, or investment, before making any decisions about any equipment purchases, tax issues, etc. Bonnie and I's information here is available. I'll direct to our desk phone numbers, email addresses, and Twitter. Please join us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and also subscribe to the Sykes & Company YouTube channel. You get videos that we push out about every 10 days. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate everybody being with us, especially Ashley and Reagan and their experiences with the system, and Bill and Bonnie, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you all.
I will
Thank
say,
you
Thank you very much.
have
Have a good
thank
day.
you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.